right. Hey, Tom here, FlipAnythingUSA. So today I want to introduce myself to the folks in the UK. I've had quite a bit of people from the UK very interested in real estate, writing me a lot of emails and asking a lot of questions when we gone live. John Brady and some others out there, and also I'm a big fan of Monoperty. Monoperty is out in the UK, and he has a YouTube channel called Monoperty. Highly recommend you folks. If you're not familiar with him, get to know him. He's a sharp guy, and he's also very interested in real estate, and he's making it happen. So, tell you a little bit about myself. I've been a real estate investor since I was 19 years old, and my eyes got that big, I mean just huge, the moment somebody offered me $20,000 more for a piece of real estate than I had just purchased it. It's a lot of money to me. And I know it's a lot of money to a lot of people even today. And that was over 30 years ago. And so I've been making money this way for, like I say, 35 years. You know, it goes by quick. I have 4 kids, I got 2 in college, and the beauty of making money in real estate, it's just a great, fun lifestyle. And it's beautiful because I tell you what, I write checks for college, okay? I write checks for cars. I write checks for houses. And I'm not talking about deposits. I pay cash for these things. But this is where you can be. This is where you can get at, and you can get it there in a relatively short time because I was already quite wealthy. By the time I was 28 years old, I'd already had enough money that I could sell my company and I could live off my real estate. You know, it was wonderful. It was wonderful. Still is, and it's just gotten better ever since. And so I want to tell you also, I've got an app, FlipAnythingUSA.com. Write me at tom@FlipAnythingUSA.com, and I will send you a copy of the app. I'm not going to send it out until I have 1,000 Android and 1,000 iOS subscribers emails for the app. So please subscribe, and please hit notifications, and please like the videos. I appreciate that. I don't charge anything for this stuff either, and that, which we'll get into that stuff later. So because I don't stand to make anything from you, I want you to know, you know what? I just pour my heart out on this. I'm basically making a video blog for my boys and my girls. I have twin boys, 14, and when they're old enough, when they get interested, man, this video blog and the great question that you guys ask are going to serve them well, and that's why I don't mind doing this stuff for free. And so I got a few technical difficulties here. I'm actually powering this thing right now off my laptop, and so I got to punch this up so that I can see your questions as they come up. And so bear with me one sec. And that's the other thing. You're not going to see a real slick production from me because, look, I'm just here to share. Oh, God. And you can see I've already got... now what? You can see I've already got... All right, man, I guess we're just winging it. We're going to see what happens. All right, so let's talk about... real estate investment, and why you folks in the UK or wherever you're at, as long as you got a free market system, you should be involved in this. It is a fantastic way to make money. Think about this. Think about what else can you buy that a bank is willing to finance that goes up in money? What investment, or what investment? Would they loan you money to invest in a stock? Hell no. Would they invest? The only thing they will give you money to invest in is money to buy real estate. That's about the only investment. Now, they'll loan you money on a car, sure, but it's, you know, they can grab it, they can wheel it away. But with a building, think about, it just takes very little money, and you can leverage that thing into so much more. Hey, Ryan, glad you're here. So that's the beauty of real estate. I was 19 years old, and I was out of work. I was a cabinet maker, and I barely even knew how to build cabinets. But you know what? I couldn't get a job, so I started my own cabinet shop. Well, one of the buildings, I was looking for a place to rent. And I talked to a guy, I called on an ad. That led to me talking to a realtor. Realtor was hungry. It was tight times. Interest rate was over 10%. You know, that was the average interest rate from a bank was 10%. I mean, the old days were terrible when it comes to interest. So anyways, I talked to, his name was Bob Dennis, and he introduced me to owner financing. And I was 19 years old. I had hair down to here. I had allergies. I looked like I was high, but I wasn't high. I just had allergies. But it was, so I just thought, who's going to give me a loan, right? Who's going to give me a loan? And so, but I talked to Bob, and he says, hey, look, why don't you make an offer on it? I said, well, A, I got no money, and I have no credit. He said, look, they're not going to know that. They're not even going to see it. He said, can you think you can raise 10 grand? I said, well, I could probably raise 10 grand, not right away. And he says, well, we'll write the deal for a 6-month escrow, and in 6 months, we'll see what happens. And so we made the deal. I wrote the deal for, I think, $110,000 to buy this 6,000 square foot building. I had a 6-month escrow, but I had the right to move into the property. And it was that right to move into the property that gave me a 6-month grace period. No rent. I moved in, I turned on the electricity, I started making cabinets, started making money, doing the business that I knew how to do, but it allowed me rent-free. So I was able to save the money that I didn't pay to rent. That gave me the down payment. So that in 6 months later, I put that money down, boom, the property was mine, no loan, it was owner carried, and which is a beautiful thing, and we'll get more into that in other lessons. But right now, I just want to introduce you a little bit to real estate and myself, and just the huge potential for profit and to make life much, much better and much easier for you. And it's really not, it doesn't matter, you can start young, you can start old, it's just about applying yourself and understanding how it works. So with real estate, there really are no rules, right? In other words, you can buy stuff owner carried, you can have a long escrow, there's just so many different ways you can play around with it's whatever a buyer and a seller agree to do. And that gives you a lot of leeway to make things work for you, make things work for them. Listen, interest rates, you can play with interest rates. You might buy a property from one person for 5%, another guy might give you 2.5% interest rate. That kind of stuff happens, and that dramatically lowers your payment, and it may work for the seller for whatever reason. Now, one thing I do is I buy properties under market. I only buy properties under market because properties do go down and they go up, and if you buy it right, that's your hedge, is that if the values start to go down, if you're holding, you can bail out and still make some money if you buy it with enough margin. Likewise, if you decide you want to kind of hold on to something for a little while, as it's going up, you just watch it, because there's less chance. If it's going up, you can hold it for a while, but if it starts to pull down, you can just bail out, you can sell it quickly. And there's a lot to that, but like if you do like an owner finance deal, with owner financing, the note that you create that you're paying to the person that bought it from, they can carry that note, but guess what? That note can also be assumed by the next person you sell to. And a lot of times, it's these great deals that you negotiate up front that may allow you to close it easily and also to sell it easily, because if I have somebody owner finance a property, when I sell it, the next guy that buys from me, he's already financed. He can assume my loan. That's one of the great tools, and there's so many that involved that you can do with this stuff. But I want to talk to you about some of the things and how you can make money quickly. Assignments are another thing. A lot of guys call it wholesaling out here. I just call it assignments. That's what I've been doing for a very long time, especially when I have more property than I can afford to buy. Sometimes I get all my capital tied up, but I get a deal, I still tie it up, I still put a deposit down, and then I'll find somebody else to go ahead and flip it to. That's very common. But you got to know about that, because I know a lot of people are intimidated by real estate because they don't know what's out there, they don't know what it's about, and I understand those fears that can come about. So we're going to talk about, I'll talk about some land deals that I've done. I have a piece of land. I was walking my children, my two little babies, twin boys, down the street, and I'm walking along, and the sidewalk ended. And I'm like, well, that's funny. And then it picked up again about 40 feet later, and all this property to the left all kind of looked the same, but I realized, wait a minute, this sidewalk stopped and then it picked up again? There's a lot here. So I went down to the assessor's office and I grabbed the plat maps, and I'm sure, I don't know exactly what they call it over there in the UK, but I'm sure you can get a plat of the properties on the block, and that's the street. And sure enough, there was a vacant lot there. I got a hold of the owner and I said, what do you want for the property? And he said, I'll take 40. And I said, hey, how about, you carry a note? And he said, sure. I gave him 10 grand. I knew it was a great deal. Property was a great deal. So I bought it with $10,000 down, and I sold it like 3 months later for $95,000. Made 50. No, I sold it maybe 100,000. I did a video on it. You have to take a look at it. But I made about $50,000, $60,000 on this property cash, and I did it in 3 months. And I did it with $10,000. That's a heck of a return for just walking down the street and making a phone call and putting out $10,000. But that's the kind of deals you can make. And even if you didn't have money, if you had that deal lined up and signed and agreed to, you can go to somebody like me that has money and say, hey, Tom, I got this great deal. I can't afford to buy it. Maybe we could be partners, or maybe you'll just give me 10 grand and you can take my position. That's the way I began. In fact, after I bought my first property, I was kind of broke because I was struggling starting a business. Well, one of the things that I did was I reached out to my old boss because I knew he had money. Called him and I said, hey boss, I got a property that, his name was John. I said, John, I got a property here. I think it's worth $220,000. I can buy it for, I think, 110, 120. I said, come take a look. And he did. He came out and take a look. And he looked at it and he said, yeah, Tommy. He said, man, that's a great deal. And he goes, what? He goes, what do you want? And I said, man, I want to be partners. And he goes, look, I don't want any partners. I don't need any partners. He goes, how about I give you $20,000 and you just take my place? Or I'll just take your place in the contract. And that was my introduction to assignments. It was just by somebody that I approached to make a deal with, to be my partner. And he says, hey, I got an idea. How about I just give you some money to go away? Fantastic. A month later or less, the property's in his name. But before that, he wrote me a check, gave me $20,000. That is a very easy way for anybody to get started, because even if you feel like you're at a disadvantage, maybe you don't have a lot of money, or maybe you don't have a big paycheck coming in, you're equal. You're equal to me and everybody else, in as much as neither one of us have a deal. The deal is the key to making money. Just remember that. Let me find my marker here. So you got to go away with this for sure. You got to know that the deal, okay? I'll give my square here. This is going to be my board that I'll work with him. That's the real estate. So the deal is number one, okay? Without a deal, there's no profit. There's no profit without a deal, right? You can have cash. Listen, there's all kinds of money out there right now. Cash is like the number 2 thing, okay? The deal is number 1, cash is number 2. Right now, money is so cheap, you can't even get 1% from a bank, right? Okay? So when you find a deal, if there's a margin of profit to be made in there, a nice margin of profit, then what you have is you can go to somebody that has the cash, and maybe they're not a real estate investor, and maybe they're a hard money lender, and maybe they want like 10% interest, which I don't have to pay, and I would never pay that. But why not pay it? It's not that big a deal. Because people say, gee, Tom, do I really want to pay a hard money lender 10%? Well, listen, if you don't have any money, you're probably willing to take a partner that'll fund the whole thing, and you'll give him half of your money, right? Well, now that's 50% of your profit. So hard money lender for, hard money lender for 10%, no big deal, man. 10%. Compare that to, or find a partner, and split it. Okay? I can tell you, for me, I'll take the hard money lender for 10% any day, because I'd rather give him 10% of what I borrow than give him 50% of my profit. That's just a given for me. So anyways, I've done hundreds of deals. I've bought properties, pieces of land for maybe $10,000, $15,000, put $5,000 down, resell it to somebody else for maybe $30,000. They give me $10,000 down. They assume the first, and then I create a second in some cases, and I'll carry a second. And then maybe I have a small note with $100 or $200 a month coming in. So I just wanted to quickly introduce myself to you guys. And in the UK, I'm actually running out of battery here, but I wanted to get this out and just tell you, hey, tune in. There is so much potential to make money. Like I said, you could be a teenager, you can be, somebody elderly like me or whatever. There is all kinds of money to be made. You just have to open up your eyes and see the world that's out there in real estate. I know a lot of you don't know anything about it, but trust me, it's there, it's accessible, and in this world right now with interest rates so low, There's people that are retired, they can't get any money on their money. They can't make any money in the bank. So there's people that will loan you money. There are people that are selling their real estate that just simply would rather have you pay them on a note. In other words, they act as the bank. So you can get owner carry opportunities and, put a certain amount of money down so they know you're serious, and let them carry the note, and just explain to them, say, look, if you're going to put it in the bank, you're going to get less than 1%. And that money that you put in the bank, they're just going to loan it to somebody like me at 4 or 5%. So why let the bank make all that money on your money? You make the money on your money. You've got the collateral, the collateral is good, and that's about it. So I don't know if anybody has any questions. I got a limited monitor here, but I just want to introduce myself and tell you guys, please hang out and subscribe, and be sure to write me at Tom@FlipAnythingUSA, and I will send you the app when it's ready. And whether you got iOS or Android, I'm making it for both. And but that's it for now. Please hit notifications. Please like the videos. And if you got any questions, please put them down in the comments. I can't hardly read them because I'm dealing with my phone right now. But that's it for now. FlipAnythingUSA. And again, please share, subscribe, and ask questions. Thanks.